Is my dad wrong for never speaking to my sister again because he feels like she betrayed him? Man, where do I start? My family used to be real close. I'm talking about real close. Until the day my dad found that my mom was cheating on him. And with his best friend of all people. My mom was cheating on my dad with his best friend, John. The man that was his best man at the wedding. The man that was like a brother to him all his life. And even after my dad found out she was cheating, like any marriage, of course, it started falling apart. But he begged my mom to stay. But she chose John after him. So eventually they got divorced. And 5 months later after the divorce, she married John. Now my sister Sarah, me and her had a choice of who we wanted to stay with after the divorce. And Sarah was like your typical daddy's girl. She was always up on my dad. She was like his mini-me, his shadow. And of course, he spoiled her more than he spoiled the rest of his children because that was his only girl. That was his baby girl. So she got special treatment. She really got anything she wanted. So when it was time for us to choose what parent to stay with, she chose to stay with my mom and Sarah. And that was just baffling to everybody because she was really like my dad's mini-me. So I chose to stay with my dad. And Sarah chose to go stay with my mom. And if I were to sit here and tell you that the divorce and Sarah choosing to go stay with my mom, if I were to say that crushed my dad, that would be an understatement. Of course, in front of us, he tried to save face like he was okay. But for a year straight after the divorce, I could hear himself crying to sleep every day. Now, of course, on the weekends, Sarah came to visit. And occasionally, I would go see my mom. But it just wasn't the same. Now, as far as my dad and Sarah's relationship, it didn't change much. In fact, he started spoiling her more. And he was still present at every parent-teacher conference, every ballet recital, every soccer game. You couldn't ask for a more present dad. Things just started to change whenever Sarah decided she didn't want to go to med school anymore. See, my dad was a surgeon, and Sarah always said that she was going to follow in his footsteps. But my mom and John were lawyers, and they got into her ear about becoming a lawyer. So they persuaded her to change her career path. So instead of going to med school, she went off to law school. And during that time and during her studies, John became her mentor, and they got really close during that time. And after she graduated, he got her a job at his firm. And even after all that, Sarah and my dad's relationship was still good. But things turned for the worse in 2017 when Sarah got married. See, all my dad would talk about growing up is the day he could walk Sarah down the aisle. That would be the happiest day of his life. Even at weddings, he would tell her, I can't wait for it's my turn to walk you down and give you away. So when Sarah was getting married and my dad heard about it, he wrote her a blank check. That way she could have her dream wedding, no matter how much it costs. That way he'd cover it. And the day before the wedding, Sarah dropped the bomb. She let my dad know that she wanted him and John to walk her down the aisle. Now, my dad's not a confrontational person. So I guess she just expected him to suck it up and go along with it. But he didn't. They ended up getting into a huge argument. And it ended with my dad not even going to the wedding. And John walking Sarah down the aisle. And after that day, my dad didn't speak to Sarah again. Him and his whole side of the family just disowned her. Now, she did try to contact him and make amends several times, but he didn't want to speak to her. We thought things would finally turn around when Sarah had kids. But he didn't even want to meet his grandkids. Things took a turn for the worse when my dad had got pancreatic cancer. And the treatment didn't work, so he became terminal. And with that, we thought he'd at least want to speak to Sarah one last time. And she tried reaching out, but he said he didn't want to see her again. And things just went bad. He never got better, and he ended up passing away. He passed away without ever speaking to Sarah again or even seeing her kids. I just want to know if y'all think he was wrong for doing it, or was he justified?